Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Rashmita, and I am the event planner for Microsoft Reactor India. This session will run over the next 60 minutes, including Q&A. But before we begin today's session, please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat section will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. So please feel free to drop all your questions in the chat section. Let me bring in Shrushti, our speaker for today's session. There you go. Over to you, Shrushti.
Hey Rashmita, good morning. Thank you so much.
Morning,
Let
Shrushti.
me.
Your slide is up.
Okay, can you see in the full presentation mode? Just a confirmation.
No, no. You have to make it in the presentation mode.
Oh, I have actually.
Can you try one more time?
Yes, just a second. Now?
No, not yet.
Okay, can you see the slides moving?
Yes, yes, that is moving. Yeah,
Okay,
but that's okay. You can just go ahead. Yeah.
okay. Perfect. Maybe if you can see the slides in the presentation mode, then let me know or else I'll turn it off. So thanks, Rashmita. Maybe if you want, I can share my screen again to present, but I'll, in the interest of time, let me just quickly start. It's fine if I don't share it in the presentation mode. Okay, so um, today I'm here to speak about my favorite topic, which is Copilot Studio. And I've been building a lot of use cases, either it is in legal domain or that you can say of insurance, maybe something around autonomous agents or different kind of agents. While you must be wondering, okay, what exactly Copilot Studio is. If you are very new to the Microsoft ecosystem, if you aren't aware about how you can go ahead and start building agents, then maybe this is the right session you have come to. And I hope this, whatever I'm going to speak in the upcoming 40 to 50 minutes, hopefully that is useful for you and you take something back along with you after this session so that, okay, now you have some idea how you can go ahead and start building. For your use case, either maybe just to explore, you just want to build something, or maybe for your organization, right? So today's topic, as you can see, building agents in Copilot Studio, but this time it is for insurance domain. So how the agents in the insurance domain can be leveraged, how the integration can happen, what you can do with Copilot Studio, and maybe you can extend this to either insurance, legal, manufacturing, retail, any domain which you want. But specifically for today's session, I'll be speaking about insurance. So before I dive into the agenda, I would want to. So my agenda is very sweet and simple. I don't have many slides. I just have few slides so that you all can come to the same page, and then we can go ahead and start build something. We can start building into the Copilot Studio. You know the basics, you know the chunks, and then you go ahead and start building on top of it. But before I go there, you need to look at some of the basic layer of Copilot Studio. So I'll quickly spend a few minutes to elaborate on Copilot Studio, what you can do with Copilot Studio. Rashmita, if you don't mind, can I just share back again? Because I think I have a couple of slides, if that is fine
Sure.
for you. Yeah, just a second. I think the presentation mode is still not visible. I do see that. Okay, let me stop my sharing and I'll present. Okay, let me know now if you can see in the presentation mode. If still not, then
For me, it's still not in the
yeah,
presentation
there's
mode.
some bug, I believe. Okay, okay, fine. Okay, so in the Copilot Studio, sorry for the glitch, folks. Looks like some presentation bug, which I don't know why it is, but I'll continue here itself, and maybe if needed, I can just share my screen and present full screen as well. So here in Copilot Studio, I'll continue from the Copilot Studio, wherein it's important to understand what exactly Copilot Studio helps you with, like what you can do with Copilot Studio and where exactly Copilot Studio is. Okay, so Copilot Studio is nothing but another tool or service as part of Microsoft Power Platform. So when you say Microsoft Power Platform, it is a platform which allows the citizen developers, and these can be low code, no code people who are not much into, or they don't have the pro code background. Like maybe they don't know how to write code in JavaScript, TypeScript, React, or Python, or any other coding languages. Probably they are not very used to the pro code languages, but they work with Microsoft ecosystem. They have built some Power Automate flows, which are called as workflows. They have built some applications like Power Apps, and this whole ecosystem is based on the Power FX formulas. So Power FX is nothing but the functions. For example, let's say I want to open a window, right? You have a function which does that job. You write that function either in Pro code, but in low code, you just need to call out that function, you need to pass the parameters, and that's it. So this is how low code operates. It just needs a simple, it just operates on a simple language like Power FX. And based on that, the whole Power Platform ecosystem is built. So for us, the citizen makers or developers or the low code, no coders, they can go ahead and start building even with minimal coding exposure. Okay. So Power Platform has multiple tools. It has tools like Power Automate. Power Automate helps you to build automations. Now, maybe automations like event based automations, for example, whenever an email is received or whenever something is changed in the file ecosystem or file system in your local or on your OneDrive or on your SharePoint, or maybe any other events wherever you want to listen into, or if you want to have an scheduled based automations. For example, I want to run this specific task or job only every day, every Monday at 8 a.m., or maybe only in a month or a year, any scheduled jobs or automated jobs, as I mentioned, based on the events, or even your local automations like your desktop runs. For example, you open an Excel, you copy and paste all those data, and then you paste it to a website or a browser or any in the on-premise a third party application. All these things you can do with Power Automate. Which is the which is the tool for building your automates or workflows. Power Apps is one such tool which helps you to build applications, and these applications are built on top of Power Apps, again with the help of Power FX formulas, wherein there are different types of applications. Either the Canvas app, wherein you go ahead and you build beautiful looking applications, or a model driven app, which is data heavy, backed by a lot of data either in SQL or Dataverse, wherever the data can reside to. But basically, model driven applications ideally works with the Dataverse. But if you want that data to be pulled from some place else, then there are different workarounds which you can work with. One such tool is AI layer as well in your Power Platform, wherein you have different models similar to in your Azure. There is an AI services. The AI in the Power Platform is backed by AI services. So there are AI services like document processing, business card reader, text recognition, languages, all those. And now, after like from the past 2 years, we have been listening to more and more Copilot, the GPT models, the LLM, Hugging Face. There are different providers for different organizations have their different models which they are coming up with. While Microsoft has a deep partnership with OpenAI, and we are using the Jupyter models, right? So there is an AI layer as well in Power Platform, wherein you can leverage all these AI services. Not just that, but you can also leverage the models like GPT 4.0, GPT 4.0 Mini, the latest one, the 4.1, with multi-model capabilities and all those things. And another tool, which is the Copilot Studio, which you can see from the screen. So what is Copilot Studio? So Copilot Studio is nothing but a tool which helps you to make agents or to build agents, and not just build but also manage these agents. So for example, if you have built a lot of agents, but you also need to manage at the same time, because this is part of Power Platform wherein you have different environments. Different environments might have different agents. Maybe an environment specific to HR, or you only want your organization only wants that, okay, only the internal or maybe HR related agents should be built in this environment. So all those managing, also including access controls like, okay, who should have access to this, where this agent should be published. Either this will be part of SharePoint site or should be published in Teams. What will be the interface through which the users can go ahead and start writing the prompts or queries into this agent. So that is called as publishing layer. So all this comes as part of managing, building, and also customizing, wherein you're not just building an agent which is a chatbot, the traditional chatbot, which is, okay, if I type in this, get me details related to the claim or insurance, then a workflow or something is running in the background which captures your exact intent, and then based on the intent it tries to go to the data table wherever that data table is, and then it fetches that details for you. It is no longer the traditional chatbot. So with Copilot Studio, you have different AI extensibilities, wherein it just understands what queries you're typing in, and it tries to go to that particular knowledge, that knowledge which you have fed in the agent. If there is no knowledge, then it will use its own knowledge so that you go ahead and you get the information in hand within few seconds. And it is not just about getting the information with from the knowledge. Either it can be SharePoint, Dataverse, websites. No, it is not just restricted to that, but you can also have your task based agents wherein it is performing some actions for you based on, okay, create a request, then it goes behind the scenes, it creates a request either in ServiceNow or in any of the Jira or any board, and you get your request created while the behind the backend processes is still ongoing, right? So there are different ways, different kind of agents which you can build, which I'll come to it later. But this is what you can do with Copilot Studio. And you can be rest assured that whatever connectors you have for Power Automate, for example, there are around 1800 plus connectors, if I'm not wrong, all those connectors are still available in your Copilot Studio. So you can leverage all those as well. So it is not just about your business connectors like, okay, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams. No, it has the enterprise connectors as well, like SAP, ServiceNow, Salesforce, Jira, and many more. These are your enterprise ones wherein you can go ahead and start integrating your ecosystem of Copilot Studio with the different services like Salesforce, Jira, Adobe, any you name it, and you'll find the connectors for them. But let's say if your connectors are not yet in, so then how would you go ahead and communicate your agents with, right? Hence, you have another layer wherein you can go ahead and create custom connectors. But for creating custom connectors, you need the APIs. Only then you'll be able to wrap it, and then this wrapper like connectors will be exposed to a platform, and then you can go ahead and start communicating. Hence you need these APIs firsthand. But if your organization has their own APIs, then go ahead and start creating custom connector and build agents on top of it, and you are good to go. Another thing is, as you can see from the screen, Copilot Studio helps you to build enterprise agents, right? Which I just mentioned. You can integrate with any services. It also helps you to extend it to the Microsoft Copilot. Now, here comes an important uh, note: what exactly Microsoft Copilot is and how it is different from the agents which are building in the Copilot Studio. So, whatever you are doing in the Copilot Studio is your custom agent, which you are building for your specific scenario, while Microsoft Copilot is a tool which is normal AI assistant. You can go ahead and start leveraging it in your mobile phones, or also if your organization has Copilot Studio, if you have the Copilot license, then you can go ahead and start using the Copilot AI assistant as well. Even if you don't have license, you can go ahead and start leveraging the free version. So you go to the Play Store either in Android or in Apple. You can find Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, and then you just install and download it. Once you are done, you can start uh, typing in your prompts, and it will help you generate text. It can help you with the images, videos, and also all those sort of things. Also retrieving, for example, if you're looking for some information, it does that as well. While what here I'll pause for a second. So what I'm trying to address here is Copilot, whatever building, sorry, not Copilot, either you can call it Copilot or custom agents in Copilot Studio. You can also extend this to the Copilot. So what will happen is, if I go to my Copilot and if I add this agent into that Copilot, so now whenever I'm typing in that, hey, create a ticket, Jira ticket for me, then it will automatically know that, okay, I need to call this agent, and this agent will do the job of creating tickets. So that is how you're extending the agents, not just to your Copilot Studio platform, or not wherever you're publishing it, maybe in the website, in SharePoint, or in a Teams, but you can also extend this to the existing Copilot, wherein all everyone is using that as an assistant, and you have one home, and you can go ahead and start typing in your prompts, and it will do its job in the behind the scenes. The other is to bridge the gap of low code and pro code. You can also work. These agents can also extend and build further with Azure AI Foundry. And Azure AI Foundry is the hub for all the models, wherein you find the models. When I say models, these are the large language and small language models. And these models are not just from Microsoft. You can find the models from the different providers like Grok, Hugging Face, Meta, all those and many more, like DeepSeek. There are a few more. So you can go ahead and start building further in Foundry, where you can have your data sets. You can work with search, you can work with Cosmos DB, you can extend. So now what we are speaking here is from low code, the journey goes till pro code. based on the different use cases. So your important thing is you need to understand a use case, and then based on the use case you need to come up with the plan stating that okay, these all things I need, and whether the Copilot Studio infrastructure and platform provides me to build that. If yes, then go ahead and start building it. But if you think that okay, this needs further extension or maybe a layer of pro code as well, then probably you can go and keep your agents built in Copilot Studio as an interface wherein all the users will start using it, but in the behind backend infrastructure can be built on top of Azure AI Foundry as well. So this differs from the case to case basis, and also it is purely on the use case which you have and the requirements. So this is what Copilot Studio is. Now I'll go to the next slide wherein I'll elaborate on what you can. I just elaborated on what Copilot Studio can help you to do, right? You can build agents, but what kind of agents currently are built on top of Copilot Studio? So we can see there are agents from every industry, including travel, professional services, government, retail, healthcare, financial domain, educational domain, and manufacturing domain. Now, of course, I can build the agents, as I mentioned, for any line of business or for any department, but you need those connectors with you, right? Hence, it is showing that these are the connectors which you can go and start leveraging in Copilot Studio. So it is from SAP, the Adobe, uh, Office 65, DevOps, and many more. You can see there are around, you have your data which can be grounded with any of the enterprise or business connectors from your Microsoft ecosystem, and also from your enterprise ecosystem apart from Microsoft services as well. Now let me go to another layer. So now we are moving ahead. Now we know, okay, what Copilot Studio is, what you can do with Copilot Studio, what kind of agents you can build with, and whether you can extend this with Copilot or not. And also if you have the use cases which requires pro code approaches as well, and you need your infrastructure to be developed in such a manner, it should be robust and all those things, then you can go ahead and start thinking about a use case and think whether Copilot Studio is the right platform or you need something else as well. Now that we know, now we are good to go ahead and start seeing that okay, what about the information workers? For example, there are different type of users or different type of makers, right? One streamline is information workers. Information workers means I am using the assistants or agents as an assistant which always helps me get the information. Now that information either can be okay, for example, keeping it to the insurance domain, I have an insurance agent. So that insurance agent, what it does is whenever I query in, maybe it takes my queries saying that, help me with the policy details. What is the end date for this policy? How much is the sum insured? Maybe you are exploring for some other options. For example, are there any insurance policies for accidental policies, or are there any insurance policies for group health insurance, or maybe life insurance, any insurances, right? Maybe you are just querying in and you are in return getting the information back. So this is called as retrieval. So there is an RAG, which is a retrieval augmented generation. So what one layer holds in Copilot Studio is information workers. And where information workers, what they do is they just tend to retrieve the information. And from where would they get this information? This information they would get from the data or knowledge which the agent is built on top of it. So either that knowledge can be in the data source, or that knowledge can be on the websites, their enterprise website, or a public website where there is a whole lot of information about insurances only specific to region, for example India, or maybe insurance for USA, or insurance from European regions. So if you want all these knowledges to be added to your agent, and whenever user types in anything, they get the information, but they only get the information about insurance, or anything about, for example, their past claims which they have made, or some things with their claim. For example, they want to raise a claim request, or any of those things. Hence, this is called as information worker agent, wherein they are only retrieving the information. But agents are not just about retrieving information. They can do much more, wherein, for example, as I mentioned, I want a claim request to be raised from my agent. Whenever I say, hey, I have a claim request, and these are my these are the things. For example, recently I visited a hospital. This is the hospital claim which I addressed, the dates, all these proofs you are also attaching, and then you are sending it to the agent. The agent evaluates behind the scenes, something happens, the whatever you have built, those all checks are passed. Once that is passed, either you receive an acknowledgement saying that okay, your insurance has been approved, or we still need more information for it to be approved. So this is what also the agent can do. It is not just about getting the information, but it is also about getting a tasks done. And also there is another layer called as autonomous agent. So let me just go next. As I mentioned, the information workers. So there is an already agent builder platform. So I'll come to the next screen so that you can see the GIF as well. So here, if you can see that this is the agent builder platform in the Microsoft Copilot, wherein all it to do is just pass on the instructions that what this agent is going to do. Only like specify the exact instructions so that it doesn't derail from the intention or the purpose of what your agent is built on, what your agent you want to build on top of. And you provide some startup prompts, you provide some knowledge, and that knowledge, as I mentioned, it can be in the structured format, unstructured format, any kind of data you want to provide, you provide that. Once you are done, publish it, share it with the specific group of users who are going to use this, and then they are good. They are just going to type in the queries and the information is there. So here from the GIF, let me just zoom in a bit. So if you can see that in the create a agent, you are seeing the describe how your agent looks like, what you want the agent to be to do, and you're passing in the description, you're passing in the instructions, also the knowledge, and then it is going to do a confined job of retrieving the information. So from the examples, the performance coach, meeting planner, developer tutor, or onboarding buddy, these are some of the examples of how you can build agents. And these agents, as you can see, it is helping increasing the productivity for one specific area, and each agent is only performing an intentional purpose, either that is performance coach, either that is planning your meetings, or a tutor who is helping in increasing the knowledge about the syntaxes or coding for software engineering, and the onboarding buddy wherein it is helping the new joiners, saying that this is what your organization is, these are the different things which your organization work, these are the partners, customers, and all those things for your onboarding the new members. So hence these agents are called as information. These agents are specifically for information workers. Going ahead, as I mentioned, your agents are not just about retrieving the information, but it has few level up, it can do more things. One is building custom agents. So let's just go how it can build custom agents. So as you can see, these are the different ways. These are the different custom agents like customer service agent, sales agent, HR agents, the invoice processing agent. But how you will build this? Definitely will need the whole requirement wherein okay, customer service agent has to achieve this things, and it will perform this task behind the scenes, and whenever a user types in this prompt or query, you need to do take so and so actions. So these are the examples of tasks based agent, when wherein the user types in queries, some or the other actions are taken by the agent to achieve your requirement or need. Now, this is what I was saying about the life cycle of your agent, wherein I'll just zoom again. So you start building the agent in the Copilot Studio. After this slides, maybe I only have one or two more, and we'll purely go into the demo wherein you'll understand how you can go ahead and build, publish, and we'll look into the insurance case, what I have built. Triggers, I think, let me just skip this and maybe we'll look at in the Copilot Studio only. But before I go there, this is important screen wherein you need to understand what kind of agents you can build on top of Copilot Studio. Simple agents till advanced agents, as I mentioned. Simple agents just about retrieving. So wherein you are just putting the knowledge, grounding that agent with the knowledge, and then you are just passing the instructions that okay, this agent should only perform and only return responses for the insurance case. No other topics should be considered or responded. All those instructions you're passing in, and all the end user are getting is the information back, right? Task based agent are basically the actions. So for example, whenever I type in a query that hey, I have a claim request, and I've already someone is hospitalized, I want to renew this claim or reimburse this claim, can you please reimburse it? But before you type in that query, you also say that okay, this is the Copilot agent will start asking, okay, do you have the proofs, do you have the attachments or the bill which you have claimed, can you just pass it with me, and then it will evaluate whether this is the correct one, whether the dates are right, whatever information I have passed over an email or maybe in the chat that matches, and then based on that, a person looks into the details, and then that person evaluates whether this is really right or wrong, and then it approves or rejects, right? Hence this is task based, wherein a human layer is needed, a human approval or human is using doing something so that you all your actions are completed. While in autonomous nature, what agents does is it starts automatically, and then it ends also automatically without any human interference. For example, let's say these agents are solely listening to your mailbox. Whenever, for example, such claim requests arrives in your mailbox, it extracts all the information, it creates data in the your data or backend system, and then it evaluates whether for this particular person there is an existing policy or not. If there is an existing policy, does this person has any remaining claim amount? If yes, then it also automatically starts the job of, okay, this person has this much remaining amount, but his threshold amount is only this much, so I can't auto approve, I need an approval. So here you are adding an human, but only for approval, a human in the loop kind of scenario, wherein human is needed but only to evaluate at the end stage whether, okay, should we go ahead with this claim or not, or should we reject it. Not like in the task that there are few actions and also human actions are also needed. Here everything is done automatically, only a human in the loop for approval is needed, wherein a human evaluates, okay, this was the AI related summary, this is the AI sentiment, whether do you feel this is right, and do you want another layer of approval? If yes, then go to the human, and human approves or rejects, and then the user gets the claim approved or rejected. This is what autonomous is. Either you have human in loop, or you might not have human in the loop at all, based on the scenarios you are dealing with. But it is always good to have a human in the loop for cases like maybe just creating the records, extracting the information, and putting in the backend. You don't need any human in the loop, right? Hence that whole orchestration can be done autonomously. So this is what autonomous agents looks like. So you just saw that just from the knowledge which is retrieving, you can go beyond till advanced mode uh, with its autonomous nature as well. So you can build agents of any variety. But if you really want to extend this further with Procode, you can do that as well. And that comes as part of advanced, another layer wherein Foundry and Copilot Studio talks together. Now, this is, I'll take few seconds here to show what we just elaborated, right? You saw that we are now working with three phases. One, wherein we were solely using, for example, platform like ChatGPT or Microsoft 365 Copilot, wherein you are using in Word, PowerPoint, Excel, right? What you're doing is there is an assistant with you. You are using that assistant to enhance your productivity, or maybe you are using that assistant to help you research with, right? For example, you have some idea, but you don't know how you can extend this idea further. So you're using an assistant help there so that it can help you with more ideas, more pointers, so you're enhancing your knowledge as well. So first phase is human with assistants, where we all need to start working with assistants, and I'm calling out AI assistants here, and that can be any AI assistant, either Microsoft 365 Copilot or Copilot or your ChatGPT or any other platform AI assistant which you want to use. The phase two is where human and agent starts working together. So just like we saw, right, the tasks based agents, wherein, for example, an agent is automatically the biggest example is whenever you join the Teams meeting, the agent, there is a facilitator agent. That agent, what it does is it takes the notes of whatever has been discussed, what are the action items on whom it is pending. So all these things are done by the agent, but what it is doing some actions for you. Hence, there is an human agent team. This is the phase two. There is an human, but there is an agent as well. And agent is just doing whatever tasks you are asking that agent to do. Third is human led, agent operated. So, as I mentioned, autonomous can be one example, but maybe you might have multi agent orchestration wherein you have built a master agent, and then master agent is redirecting these things to the sub agents, and sub agents are performing the tasks parallelly or maybe synchronously. For example, one agent is just doing the reasoning work, and once the reasoning is done, you're passing this to the other agent who is going to do multiple things on top of the reasoning, and maybe it extracts some key information. The other agent, last agent, just acknowledges whether this is right or wrong, and then it provides the feedback. So this the whole thing was developed by human, but the agents are working either in the multi-agent format or autonomously. So these are the three phases in which right now the agentic world is evolved. So it is no longer about assistance. You are not just increasing your productivity, but you are also thinking about how agents can also do these tasks, maybe some tasks or actions, or maybe fully autonomous, or wherever you need a human in the loop. So I would highly recommend that start using AI assistants if you are not already doing that. Now, I'll go to my scenario for today. So, whatever you're going to hear from now is just specific to the use case which I'm going to talk about. And this use case is how how the agents can help operational efficiency, increasing the operational efficiency, and specifically for the insurance domain. And here I'm going to talk about two things. One is claims and the policy handling, right? So let me go to my screen back, and I'll go to the demo screen. I'll stop sharing and let me present back to the other window. Let me know if you can see the screen. Maybe Rashmita, if you can just confirm.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so from now, I'm only going to stick to my demo screen. But before I go to my use case, it's important to understand Copilot Studio, as I mentioned, and quickly give a walkthrough. So this is the Copilot Studio. You can go to the copilotstudio.microsoft.com. And if, let's say, you don't have license, then maybe you can go ahead and go to the copilotstudio.com, and you can opt for the free trial as well. What I'll do is I'll go to the agents. You see, this is the homepage. Now, maybe you would wonder, okay, I'm very new to the this Copilot Studio platform. How can I get started? So it is not that okay, you have to start from the vanilla scratch. You also have some built-in templates. So these are some of the templates. You can go ahead and start building on top of it. Maybe you can refine this further. Citizen services, IT help desk, or any of these agents you can plug and refine. But whatever I've built today is specifically my agent, which is built newly. What else you can find is the agents, whatever agents you have built, the flows. This is agent flows. Now you would be wondering, okay, this is same as Power Automate or how different it is. So agent flows is similar to Microsoft Power Automate flows. The connectors and everything remains the same, but there are few enhanced connectors specifically for your Copilot agents. So here also you can start describing what you want this flow to do, and once you are done describing it, it will create a template for you. If you want to keep it, and then it will create a flow, and you just need to configure the parameters and you are all set. Or else you can go ahead and start building from the scratch as well. So as you can see, this is a designer, and the designer, you can add trigger, you can add connectors. So maybe here the trigger, which is your agent trigger. So for those who are from the Power Platform background, they might be aware that you have this similar thing in Power Apps as well, wherein you are calling your Power Automate flows from Power Apps, right? Whenever you click on the button from the UI, a flow gets triggered. You pass on the inputs from your Power App, and then it takes those input, it processes it further, and then you pass that output back to the Power App. Same thing for your agent. You can trigger this from your agent topic or agent instruction, and you can pass on the parameters if you want to, some inputs, and based on the inputs, you can add the other connectors. So these connectors are same as I was just talking about Power Automate Flow, but there are a few enhanced connectors with respect to AI. So maybe let me just show you the advanced approval. This is a new this one, one in the loop approval. This is specific only for your agent flows. You won't find this in the Power Automate flow. I have some permissions which are missing, hence I'm not able to add it here. But as soon as you set it up, here you have stage-wise approval. For example, first stage is the claim advisor or claim approver, or maybe there are multiple personas whenever a claim is in place, maybe a head, or maybe a lead, and some kind of personas, and you want all these stages should approve, only then the claim approval will pass through. So you can build all these stages in this advanced approval, and then it will start working. So these are some sort of advanced connectors which you can use in the agent flows, but rest quite of them are quite similar to what we have in Power Automate as well. Nothing new. While tools have a specific, let me just continue without saving. Here, tools means there are the tools like Power Automate Flow, if you have built the Power Automate Flow, or there are tools like prompts, maybe if you have built your custom prompt, and also your MCP tools. So maybe if you want to integrate this with your model context protocol remotely, and you have tools which you have which you want to connect with, all those tools you can find here. So as you see in the new tool, I have the prompt category, I have the flow, custom connector, APIs, and also model context protocol. So these tools you can add to your agent. And next is publishing. You can publish as part of wherever you want to publish, but you can also extend this as mentioned to Azure OpenAI Foundry, also extend further with the SDK through Procode. This is what your Copilot Studio looks like. So now let me go to the agents. And this is one agent. I've built two agents here. I'll now come to my use case, right? So what I'm trying to do here is I have a data for claims. I'm maintaining a data saying that whenever a claim request is received, the data should be automatically stored in the database, right? And how that would be done. So for example, let me go to my mailbox and I'll show you the email. Let me just pull that up. Okay, here I am. So what I'm doing is whenever a claim, so this is a request for claim and this is my policy number, and there was an accident which happened on June 3rd. So I'm writing it to this provider. I'm saying that I'm writing to file a claim for my policy, and I'm providing the incident summary that okay, this was for my car, and I've taken the car insurance also, and the driver and the other vehicle details, police report. So whenever there is an accident, there is a detailed steps which has to be taken, and this is how the claim industry works. So it takes all these proofs into the consideration: the police report, the injuries if there were any, the attachments. I have the photos of the vehicle, what was the damage done, the photos of the accident scene, the police report copy, vehicle license copy, the driver license, insurance card, contact information, and the estimate summary of the cost. And I'm writing this to this provider saying that okay, these were the things which happened, and I am writing to pass a claim for a specific amount. Now whenever this things comes, okay, what ideally happens in the traditional ways, a person, ideally you write this to a mailbox, right? We have the mailbox where we write this email to, and a person operates this mailbox. They look into these email, and then they try to capture these details to a data ecosystem, whatever database they have. And once that is captured, they try to evaluate this information that okay, for this particular policy, whether there is a record of policy in their policy details. They match it. Okay, this is the correct policy, this is the correct policy holder, and they took the policy for this car insurance. And I do see that there is the some insured amount, probably let's say 5 million, and maybe they already have claimed some in the past, maybe 2 to 3 years back, for some or the other reasons. Now they have some remaining amount, maybe 1 or 2 million is left, and still they can go ahead and claim it. So all these checks are done manually, and then once these checks are done, this goes to a higher stakeholder, wherein they again evaluate by the comments provided by the person who has verified this. The higher person goes and they try to verify more details like police report, the vehicle damage details. They also look into the details like okay, whether the images, whatever the images were captured, these things comes together and this looks good to them. They're all the process checks whatever they have in the current ecosystem. Once that is done, it goes to the last stage, wherein that person knows okay, all these things are correct, all these things are verified. Now this claim is ready to be processed, the final approval is needed, right? All these things, just assume how much time this would take. This rarely takes quite some time, or maybe with the recent times the process has been improvised as well, because there are different tools integrations which they also use, but many of the things are done still manually. Now how this can be refined further with agents or AI in picture. So what I've done is whenever this email comes, so let me just go to my data ecosystem. I'll go to the data, and then I'll show you behind the scenes orchestration how it is done. Oops, let me go to the tables, to the insurance. And if you see, I have processed majority of the insurance claims, and it takes a lot of information. Maybe the documents which were attached, the photos, who raised the request, the damage area, the police report, other vehicle information, every single thing. Now, maybe you would be wondering, okay, in the email which I just showcased, I did not mention quite a lot of details like why the damage was occurred and all those things. But AI has the capability to go look into this in detail and provide the information and generate the summary for us that okay, the damage from the given email, I can see that this is how the damage was done, these are the these are the car details, these licensing, all those things. It is totally unstructured data, and you don't know how to process it. For example, a human if has to do, even a flow has to be written, it is very difficult for flow to capture after using AI models. But with the text based GPT models, it is very simple. Now what I'm doing is I'll again go back. You saw, right, the process was done. I'll go back here. Too many tabs. Let me close them for a second so that I don't mislead. Okay. Okay. So here you just saw that, okay, I was able to extract that information, but how was I able to extract? So this is what I'm leveraging, the GPT-4o model, wherein I've passed a detailed instructions saying that, hey, I have an email. So that orchestration is not yet in, but I'm only taking the email content here. So look at that email and try to fetch the information for me. And I'm looking for the information like claim ID, but there is no claim ID, right? You need to generate that always. So I'm generating the claim ID by passing some GUID, and for readability, I'm passing a claim IDs, which is the readable claim ID. And for my internal orchestration, it will be a GUID. Fetch the policy number, fetch the incident date, the time, location, and the location description. If you see this description of the location, it wasn't present in the email. It was just present as Main Street, Fifth Avenue. The number plate of the vehicle, some other information of the car, if there is anything in the email, the police report details, the description of the police report, injuries if there were any. So the instructions, what it does is it also has written that if there is an injury, and if you're not able to find the injury, go through the email and see whether there was any context about injuries or the damages mentioned. If yes, then use your own knowledge to get that data and pass it, right? The damage area, the damage description, the photos, all these are boolean, yes or no kind of, the estimated cost if it is available. And if you don't find any of the things, then just pass it as not available. And then at the end, I'm asking AI that what does your sentiment look like? Whether this is a positive claim, whether should we go ahead for the claim or not, or whether should we don't, or you're neutral about the fact, because the information is from the information you're not able to identify whether should we go about the claim. You might need some another layer, which is the human layer, to process it further. And the claim summary, why it felt, AI felt that it is positive, because the claim was well documented, it had all the necessary checks like photos, reports, vehicle, the damage things, all those things, hence it mentioned positive. Now I have the whole details, right? But if you see, the output which it generated is in the JSON format. You can have this in the text format, JSON format, howsoever you want this to be. I've never mentioned that provide in the JSON format, but in the prompt, I have the ability to select how my output should look like, whether that should be JSON or text. And hence, I selected a JSON, hence it is passing me as JSON because I want this data to be processed into the data ecosystem, which is my data was table. And that is a structured data set. Hence, I'm using JSON as the output. Now, once this is used, I have got the necessary details from my email. Now I need to just update this or create this record in my data ecosystem. So this whole thing is done autonomously. Now, how this is done autonomously? Now I'll go back. Now all the ingredients is there. I have my email. Once the email would be triggered, I have AI which extracts this information, and I also see that there is a data was table where the data is stored. Now all we need to do is just take these pieces together and start stitching it. So what I have done is, this is my claim insurance agent, right? In this claim insurance agent, if you see the trigger, here is where the autonomous functionality comes to the picture. So whenever an email is received, I need to use that AI prompt connector. It will extract that information for me. And once it is done extracting, it creates a record for me in the dataverse table. So this is how the trigger is doing its job autonomously. But to make this work, it will not do this job standalone, right? You need to pass the instruction saying that whenever you receive an email, and if that email has subject so and so, maybe claim requested, then you need to do that job. And that whole thing is done by Power Automate Flow. So if you see this, if I try to edit, a Power Automate Flow editor will be opened. Okay, so this whole thing is done behind the scenes by Power Automate Flow. Now you would be wondering, how can I make this autonomous? So always, to make this autonomous, even autonomous means you need to write that instruction that trigger this whenever an email arrives with so and so subject, and then follow the steps. Maybe you can take all the steps in the flow itself, or maybe you can add those connectors explicitly as a tool. So here I can add the connector like prompt. For example, let me just add that connector, claim search. So it is not able to find that. Maybe I'll search by all, enter. Is there any connector which I can see? Call prompt. As soon as I select this, I can select my this custom prompt which I had select, which I was showcasing, this one. So let's just wait. Add and configure. It takes few seconds. Okay, so now it is done, but we didn't make any configuration, right? So we need to configure which AI prompt this tool to which this tool should refer. So we need to provide additional inputs. This is the call prompt. We'll go there and we'll configure. See, this created a flow for us, and the designer, there is this trigger automatically added, this connector, wherein I can go ahead and select my prompt. If there is no prompt, because right now there is some permission lacking for agent flows, hence I'm not using agent flow, I'm using my Power Automate flow. But you can simply go ahead and do the same using tools as well. So what I have built is, now I can show this is what the trigger looked like. So whenever a claim, let me go and edit for more visibility. Yeah. So this was the trigger. This is still not the one. Let me go to the other flow. Yeah, this one was a trigger. Just specifically, I'm only talking about claims right now, wherein a claim request, as we saw, received in the email. Now I am triggering this run up prompt, which you just saw here. This prompt is called, which will take the email body as input, and it will extract all the details. If there is no extraction, for example, if it doesn't find anything, then it will just use the instructions which is mentioned, that okay, pass it as not available, and then it creates a record in my dataverse table, which we just looked, right? It just creates an entry. Now here we did our job, but did the user knew, or did the user get an acknowledgement stating that okay, we have processed, we have received a request, and we are working on it? No, right? Hence, there is an additional layer which I have added below, that whenever a request is received, you do all these actions, and you also acknowledge the user that okay, we have received a request, we expect your patience for a couple of days, and we'll reach out to you if we need any more information. So let me test this for you live, so that you now understand the whole flow at how the agent works. So I'll copy, I'll create a new request, and maybe I'll keep the same. I have the one policy detail, this policy. Let me just paste it. I'll send to the same user. This is my mailbox and I'm sending. So now this should do its job and it should also send me an acknowledgement. Let, let it work and we'll go and see whether that worked or not. At the end, as I mentioned, it is just a flow. So it will work, process the steps, and it should send me the acknowledgement. In the meantime, it does that. If you observed, I passed on the instructions. So this interface will also be used by the people who work on claims. So they can also get the claim details. For example, if I need more info on some other claim, they can use this agent to also retrieve the information. Whatever we are doing now is task plus autonomous. When it does things behind the scenes, this whole portion is done automatically. But another thing which I'm going to show about policy has a human involved in the loop, which we'll see in some time. But this can also be leveraged to gain some information. Hence, I'm passing the knowledge as insurance claim details and also policy details. So now let me just check. Hey, can you help me provide the claim? Once I receive the claim acknowledgement, I'll receive the claim ID as well. So I think I should have received that. So if you see, I've got the acknowledgement saying that, hey, we have successfully received your claim ID is this. Please keep this handy to track your status. And thank you for reaching out to us. So now I can use this status. Maybe the end user can use that and provide the claim details. And also the, not the end user, sorry, my bad. This will be used by the processing team. And if I hit enter, it will just show all the details. Maybe I am a second level approver. I don't need to go to the whole documentation and email. I can just take a look at the details and then I can take a decision. So it stays the status is not provided, the I sentiment, or maybe I can be more specific. My prompt was very open-ended. Can you help me with the vehicle details for the claim requested for ID this? And if you see the map, it goes to the correct table and it tries to fetch the information. And how it will fetch the information based on the instructions which you have passed. I have passed the instructions. It should be clear, professional. You should be able to help and support with these details. If someone asks anything apart from insurance, you can just say that I can't assist you with that information. So now if you see, it has passed the information that these are the vehicle details, like Mr. James holds this information, vehicle 2, vehicle 3, but I don't need this, it's not relevant, right? And from where it has fetched information, it has fetched the information for all the policy holders for the car insurance and who holds which vehicle. But so this is how dynamic your Copilot ecosystem is. You need to be very particular with the instructions. If your instructions are not refined, it tends to behave this way. Even after you saw that the instructions are passed very wisely, still it now gets me the information of all the vehicles. But because this agent is only going to be used by the internal team who is going the insurance company, it's still fine. But let's see, if you open this to the end user, then you have to be very wise with the instructions. And also you need to disable the AI so that users don't end up asking anything and your agent doesn't start hallucinating. So this is what your agent does. Now, as you saw, the vehicle information for each users are also listed here. Mr. James has this vehicle and the vehicle too, but it doesn't tell me who owns this vehicle. So I can go to the citation and it will take me with that particular record where this information was created. And also the citations are from these two tables. So these are the few things which you can do with the agent. While another thing is, let's say this is okay. This whole thing was done autonomously with your workflow, which did its job. And also you can do this from here as well, trigger ways, which I was showing you. It will trigger, it will perform the instructions, extract the information, and then you are good. whole thing can be done autonomously because they're just extracting the information. Nothing is approved, nothing has to be, no monetization or financial decisions have been made. Hence, autonomous can work here. Now, how about where you need, like where you need a human in the loop when this claim will be approved, right? So whenever this record was created behind the scenes, I also have another agent called holder agent. Here, what I'm doing is it is a task-based agent. It will, what it will do, it will start looking at the policy details. It will start evaluating whether this particular person or this particular policy is currently active or not. If it is active, what is the total sum insured amount? How much is the remaining amount? Was there any past claims which are made? All these things are being evaluated in the processes. So let me go to the process. This is the process. I led it. And here I'm listening to that whenever a new claim request is created in that particular data ecosystem, you need to fetch the policy details, you need to fetch the coverage details, how much coverage for this person, what is the sum insured, all those calculations of finance, plus the details about the policy holder, the address, the verification, all the personal information has been added here. All this is once fetched. Now later I evaluate whether these are the checks which I am doing, whether this the sentiment of AI was positive, whether there was any threshold. So as I mentioned, here you can keep some decisions to AI, which is okay if there is no additional approval, a threshold column which is maintained in the data ecosystem which says no, for this particular claims you don't need any additional approvals, only if these things are checked. Okay, and if that happens, then the claim would be approved. But if the threshold is something else, maybe the threshold amount or the for a vehicle you are not able to match the things correctly, maybe the police report is some forged, you feel that something is incorrect, maybe start date end date is mismatching, the policy details are there but the data which is provided in the claim request is not correct, then you would want in this place a human to be involved and human to evaluate whether these things are right or wrong. And if the human feels that okay, this is not correct, you reject it and ask the person to submit again with the correct information. This is what it does. So now, if you would have seen, I received another email because I am the person who is going to evaluate that hey, I saw the details but I found that okay, maybe things are not yet correct. And you see that this is the policy holder name, the start date, end date, coverage, amount, the remaining amount. I still have quite a lot of remaining amount. Whether should I approve or reject, but this is still not sufficient data. So what I can do is I can go back to my agent. Let me go back to my agent again, my policy holder agent. I'll say, hey, can you help me with the policy details for the policy number. What was the policy number? Something with A, right? Okay, I have not added here. It's but this is the policy number. Now I'll take help of my agent to see what is the policy, what is the coverage and everything, so that I don't need to go to the back end and do this stuff. I can leverage knowledge here. And let's wait. Let me provide the details like policy holder, start date, end date, coverage, etc. It's processing again. This is very dynamic in nature. It at times gives detailed information, otherwise, yeah. So if you see, I've got the policy number, the holder name, the email, the phone number, and etc. Everything. There is just a sample data which I am playing with. So now I know, okay, these are the correct details. I have the full coverage. My policy status is also active. So I am the evaluator. Now I can just using these details, I can now take a decision whether should I approve or reject. So now what I'll do is I'll approve it and I'll submit. And then once it's submitted, it will send an acknowledgement email stating that, okay, your request is approved. So this is the whole process wherein you're not just involving claims, but also you're evaluating the policy and coverage details. While what we could have done is, still I'll keep it for another session, maybe 1 hour is not enough. I'll speak about multi-agent orchestration, wherein there will be just a line of business of insurance, and you have multiple agents, but each agent is doing specific job, and it's after doing his job, it is handing over to some other agent to do it further, or maybe each agents are doing a specific job, and you don't need the synchronicity between these agents. So that is a separate whole topic. Just because I wanted to show this with two agents, so that I can speak about multi-agent orchestration in the upcoming another session soon. So hence I've taken the example of insurance wherein two agents are working, but you see these two agents can also work hand in hand together. If I would have used multi-agent orchestration, and I would have totally skipped creating another agent called policyholder. Maybe I would have just one agent and the other sub agents doing their job, like extracting, one is evaluating, one is doing the process checks, and the other is just sending out an approval to the human whenever there is a need. So these things I'll keep it for another session. But to summarize, what we did is we saw the ability of what agents can do. One, it can retrieve the information which we just saw, and how it is retrieving. Here I'm not using public website. Here I'm not using the AI open knowledge, that is turned off. So if you see here, the knowledge is turned off. Right now, this is the revamped studio. If I go to the settings, if I go to the generative AI section here, it takes few seconds. Oops, it's loading. Yeah, if you see the orchestration, I have kept this as off. This, where is it? There's still a window. Yeah, here use the information from web. No, I don't want people to start typing in any prompt and it fetches the information from web and it responds back. I don't want that. Only for the AI, because AI has its power as well. So wherever needed, it can use its own knowledge to provide the information to the user. For example, what is insurance? Maybe if I ask what is insurance and how can I, is there any way to go ahead for car insurance? So specific details about insurance and domain, and also guardrailed with the instructions so that people can don't deviate from the discussions apart from insurance. All those things I've captured just by enabling these features. Once this is done, you also see that orchestration. If you want to make any agent as autonomous, you need to toggle this orchestration to yes, so that it can dynamically go and call the actions, that okay, whatever instructions you're typing in, that okay, whenever this triggered is triggered, you call out this action, you need to perform this data, you pass this data automatically. All those things can be done by instructions, but for instructions to work, you need to toggle this on so that the multi-agent so that the agent orchestration is handled behind the scenes. So this right now, whatever you see as a feature which you are enabling and disabling, behind the scenes it is using the SDK, the agent SDK, which is handling this requests and queries so that it performs these tasks and actions for you. And hence this is low code, wherein you're all you're doing is just configuring, adding the tools, adjusting the properties, making the connections. Hence it is a low code. But as you just saw, it's no longer low code if you extend this further. Maybe if you add a process checks, maybe for example, you need to also evaluate whether whatever data was provided is correct or not, or maybe the insurance is active or not. All these things need a thorough processing, where it's no longer low code no code. You need to create workflows, you need to create detailed instructions, you need to add the tools, you need to integrate with AI prompts, you need to integrate with different services. Here we didn't use any financial service, third party service. But let's say if your organization has its own financial tool, which is using the insurance, which is just holding insurance data, either the claim data. If you want to integrate that, then you need to create a custom connector and then go so on and so forth. So this doesn't stop here. This is just a starting point wherein you can go ahead and start leveraging it for your use case. But if you are really looking forward to extend it further, then maybe in the upcoming sessions which we might have related to multi-agent or agentic orchestration, I can enhance it further. But hope this gives you clarity on how you can go ahead and start building agents, not just for retrieval, but also leverage it for the task-based agents and also for the autonomous agents. And if something doesn't work, maybe for example triggers, you're not able to make it work through instructions, you have different ways. You have agent flows who does that same activity. You start exploring and then you'll find a way forward. So this is where I'll stop, and maybe I will go to my presentation now. So as you saw how we increase the operational efficiency, so at least for one domain, which was extracting information, the everything was handled automatically. While when it comes to the approval or when it comes to handling the finance, right, you need someone to take that decision. But to take that decision, you need to have all the process checks. Maybe you can have a threshold which says, okay, for claims which passes these checks, and for claims, once these checks are passed and the claim amount is less than 50,000, for example, you can go ahead and auto approve it only if those checks are passed. While for claims which are larger than a million or 2 million, and also if the process or the checks are still passed, but if the amount is very high, heavy or very high, then you need a person to go ahead and review it, as this is dealing with a higher amount. Then you can go ahead and take an approval, and maybe one or two approvals or just one approval based on your amount threshold or maybe some other criteria, and you can go ahead and start processing your claim request. So this is how you have increased the efficiency. Maybe the agents can also help you with the data, with the retrieval, like maybe the information fetching, which we just saw. But that is just retrieval extension, as we saw, that is of main use. So this was the business problem which I was trying to solve, the claims and the policy servicing. This needs more extensibility as well in terms of the checks processing. As I mentioned, I leave it for the multi-agent orchestration in the upcoming one, so that I can speak more about the advanced scenario there. And right now you have the simple intermediate scenario where you can go ahead and start building. So this is the impact, the challenge of claim triage, wherein it used to take the hours or days. Now with agents, it is just handling some pieces very quickly, and some pieces still needs some input. The backlog, you can, if you have the approval backlog, you might all know that approval takes a lot of time, and if it is human dependent, and it will take a lot of days as well. The claims rejection because of so and so mismatches, you need to send out an email. Mostly people have that automated as well, but with agents you can have this more refined and further, that okay, if these checks are not met, then straight away send out a rejection. You don't need anything to be processed as well. The inquiries can be handled through just Q&A by retrieving the information. So this covers our session today for insurance domain, and you saw that agents in action. I hope this is helpful for you all, and I'll pause here. I'll take a moment to thank you all for staying till the end, and also Rashmita for always being there and organizing this for us, and Rashmita, part and the whole Reactor team. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll stop sharing now, and if there are any queries, maybe I can take that up.
Yes, thank you, Shrishti. There are a couple of questions. I'll just get them up on the screen.
Sure.
Yeah,
Maybe
can you see
if you
the
can just
screen?
put me backstage for a moment, I'll be back.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You can see the questions on the screen, Shrishti.
Okay. Okay. Let me just come back to that screen first. Okay. Okay. There are quite a few queries. Let me just go and start. How many companies had implemented this in India and worldwide? So I do see that insurance, as I mentioned, some portions can be implemented while some are decision heavy, wherein you need to take a financial decision. There you need a thorough evaluation, thorough checks, and then only you can make this whole agentic. Definitely, not whole ecosystem can't be AI or agentic driven, but some portions like extracting the information, using AI to evaluate the email and take some decision points, as in if there is no damage area, if you just mentioned that this is what happened at the scene, for example car insurance, you can use AI for some specific areas and it can do its job better. You update this whole information in your backend, and later once the information is done, also with AI you can make some decisions based on the information or thresholds or checks which you have in place. If you in financial domains, ideally we never depend on whole AI ecosystem. Hence there is a human in loop, which I mentioned. There is a human in loop which will always evaluate. There will always be a layer of human eyes which will go and evaluate all these checks, and once this is done, only then the approval of claims will happen. While few insurance domains already have started automating it, but with agents they might only able to retrieve the information and only for their own team. For example, I want to retrieve the information of the policy, whether they have added all this data or not, because the data ecosystem is very heavy and it has too much data. So how would you go and start looking into it, right? Hence, the agents can be used for retrieval and limited task based actions, while not autonomous. I won't recommend that for any finance. Hope that answers your question.
Okay, we'll just move on with the next question. In which scenarios MCP would be needed?
The biggest scenario for MCPs would be where there are multiple tools. So, for example, if I go to my Copilot agent, and if I am using the tools like CRUD operations, and that CRUD operations are in turn your APIs. Maybe you are creating requests or creating claim requests in data hours. You are updating from the UI chat. I say, okay, update the claim request with these updated details. And I'm doing that because I'm the claim processor. I'm in the claim processor team. So wherever these actions you need to perform, what you can do is you can leverage MCP. What MCP does is it helps you to bring that layer in place wherein you no longer have to add multiple tools. For example, tools as in connectors in your Power Platform language, when I'm adding a connector, say create request, where I'm adding a connector, say update a request in data hours, adding a request like delete. And all these connectors are standalone connectors, and based on the intent, it captures whether should I call, create, read, request, update, delete. But you are adding in turn those number of connectors. While why not use MCP, where an MCP layer is AI driven. It knows, okay, based on the intent, I need to call update tool, and update tool, these all data are needed. And if you have already added this data in the prompt, it will take away and it will go ahead and start processing it. So that uniformity is provided by MCP. MCP is not just about CRUD operation tools, right? Instead, you're just adding one tool, and instead you're just adding one MCP, and one MCP has multiple tools, whatever tools you want to add there. So those things can be handled by MCP very well. Even in Copilot Studio, maybe in an upcoming session, I might elaborate on MCP as well, MCP integration with Dataverse tools. Hope that answers
Okay,
your query.
we'll just take one more last
Sure.
question. Yeah, could you please clarify what the threshold limits are for this agent in Copilot Studio?
So threshold, as in there are different kind of thresholds when I think about. So what the threshold limits are for the agent. Okay. So if you are talking about number of agents which you can create in a Copilot Studio, it depends on the data allocation. So Microsoft Power Platform works in a containerized fashion. Containers means your environment. Each environment is allocated some data, right? And all the Copilot Studios which you are building in one environment, that consumes some of the other sort of data. Hence, it is data driven. So there is a threshold which your admin team can apply at each environment layer for Copilot agents to be created. Hope this answers your query as well.
Well, thank you so much, Shrishti, for hosting this session, and thank you all for joining us today. Please visit Microsoft Reactor website for more upcoming sessions. Also, we would appreciate your feedback on today's session. Please scan the QR code and do share your feedback. Today's event ID is 25565. Feel free to use the Learn module link. This will give you access to additional resources to take your learning further. Thank you all once again and enjoy the rest of your day.